What's up, guys? Byron's back. Welcome back to the Afro Crypto channel. If you haven't yet, click the subscribe button down below. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family members who would want to get exciting information and cryptocurrency analysis. Okay, so with that said, today I'm going to talk about I'm going to talk about why bankers or the mainstream hates Bitcoin. Well, I mean, like, if you go to Google right now, right, and you type in Bitcoin is a fraud, you'd get like thousands and thousands of articles that try to explain to you the reasons as to why Bitcoin is a fraud, Bitcoin is fake, Bitcoin is going to implode. And just this morning, I was looking at this article on routers. I think it was released on September 20th, and the JP Morgan CEO called Jamie Dimon was saying that Bitcoin is a fraud and it's going to implode. And if you can see on my screen again, just last week, I think on October 25th,
I just don't believe this Bitcoin thing.
on October 25th, the guy, Prince Al Walid, I think this is like a regulator in Saudi Arabia. Like these are the guys that like have the oil money. People with like a lot of money, they have oil, they run banks. And he was saying, well, Bitcoin is going to implode. It's going to implode just like diamond, and it's very interesting. Uh, when you look at like things in the news, you can't look at, say, people that say, oh, Bitcoin is the next best thing, Bitcoin is going to change the world, Bitcoin is so good, I believe in Bitcoin, and you just take them at their word. You have to like be able to look at both sides, look at people that say Bitcoin is, this is it, and people that say, well, Bitcoin is like tulips. If you don't know about tulips, it's this Dutch thing that like happened in the Netherlands. I don't remember which year, whereby people invested in tulips. Tulips are basically flowers, and their prices went up like so high, and then like everything imploded and people lost all their money. So people. So what I was trying to articulate was that you'd have to look at both sides. Look at people that are saying, "Oh, Bitcoin is like this is it," and then look at people that say, "Well, they've never seen anything worse than like Bitcoin." Like look at both sides and then decide for yourself. Um, I've like been able to listen to both sides, and I've actually read Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper, the like sort of like the Bitcoin Bible, the reasons as to why he thinks Bitcoin is very good, and the kind of problems that Bitcoin would be able to solve. And then I've also read like how countless things about people that say Bitcoin is going to implode and like Bitcoin is very bad, and I've been able to make my own decision. My personal decision is Bitcoin is actually here to stay. Bankers, like guys like Jamie Dimon, hate Bitcoin because their business basically hinges on the fact that people come and give them their money. So people, very many people work, right? You go to work every day. You after you get your paycheck, they deposit this money in the bank. Now, some people spend all their money that is deposited in the bank, and some people actually spend less and they have more money in the bank. So now, if you have your money in the bank, and let's say it's on a savings account, there's something called fractional reserve banking, right? So what that basically means is that let's say I have $1 million, right, in the bank right now on my savings account. The bank is legally allowed to go and spend 90% of my money and keep only 10% as liquid. So let's say there is like 10,000 people or a million people that have deposited $1 billion in Bank of America savings account. So now, when this bank has that $1 billion, it's legally allowed to get $900 million, invest it in projects that it wants, and only keep 10%. Just keep, I think, 100 million as liquid. 100 million, probably 100 million as liquid. So when you look at such a system, like they're able to get my money and use it, and then they would pay me 0.1% as they would pay you, I think, 1% or 1.2%, or even less than that, as like interest on the money that you kept with them. And they lend out this money at like 18%, I think. If you use a credit card, you know that most credit cards, the rate is like 18%. I mean, think about that, right? I have your money. I have $1 million of your money, and then I get this money, and then I lend it to people at 18%. The rate is 18%. Then, after lending this money out at 18%, after 1 year, I pay you 1% of like $1 million. You can do the math for yourself. Like, that's very small. It's crazy. It's crazy that banks are able to get away with this. But like, that wouldn't be a problem. The challenge is sometimes banks actually invest in very bad projects. When they invest in like these very bad projects, they're able to lose this money. If you remember what happened in 2008, the financial crisis, the banks were able to get people's money, and they invested it in real estate. They went and bought these properties that were highly inflated. So when they bought these properties, the property prices started going down, which means okay. So the thing is called I think it was called like subprime mortgages. What subprime mortgages means is that the they were giving bank loans to people to buy houses, and these people had very bad credit. So, like someone, let's say you don't have the ability or the amount of money that's needed to be able to keep paying this mortgage, but they would give you a loan anyway, and then you'd be able to buy a house. Now, very many people were able to default on these loans, and because banks had invested the 90%, like a lot of money, 90% that they have of like savings in these projects, and these projects weren't bringing back any money, and people on the other end who had like put money in the bank wanted their money, and the banks didn't have the money. The whole system was like about to collapse until the government came in and then gave the banks bailout. Then they started playing again, and they are at it right now. They're doing the same thing. They're investing in projects, and if they fail, in fact, some people say that some banks these days are just too big to fail. Now, how does that connect to Bitcoin? This is how it does it. If people lose faith in the system, if you lose faith in, say, the bank storing your money for you, and you store your money yourself, with Bitcoins, for example, people you can get, like, you don't need a bank to store your Bitcoins for you. You can get a cold storage, let's say like a Nano Ledger or a Trezor wallet, and then you store your coins on you store your coins on the wallet. So you're storing the value yourself. Now, if say Bitcoin gets mass adoption, and so many people get their money and then they store it themselves, what does that mean for the banks? It means that the banks won't have as much liquid available to them to be able to go and play around with. So from like a fundamental point of view, I would understand why someone like Jamie Dimon, whose livelihood depends on people like me giving him my money to go and play around with, would say, "Oh, Bitcoin is a fraud." But I think Bitcoin is like a very good store of value, and over time, if it's like, if it's successful, then people will be able to like store all their money, or store like very many of their assets in Bitcoin. Because first of all, if you have a Bitcoin wallet, you can store as many Bitcoins as you can on the wallet. Number two, you can move with your wallet anywhere else. If you know the private key for your wallet, no one can be able to take the private key or steal the private key from you unless you decide to share the private key with these people. I was talking about banks and private keys, and I was talking about Bitcoin and private keys. Like you can be able to store the money yourself, and you don't need a bank to do that. And if the faith in Bitcoin keeps growing, that means the value of Bitcoin will keep growing, and like Bitcoin would become essentially like gold, and people will be able to store their money in Bitcoin like they store it in gold. And I believe that banks wouldn't be very happy about that because they will be losing their livelihood, and so it makes sense to me as to why banks hate Bitcoin. The other reason as to why I think people hate Bitcoin is that they don't understand what Bitcoin is. So like for anybody that comes to you and says, "Oh, Bitcoin is fake, Bitcoin is a fraud," just give them some resources on what Bitcoin is. The things I could recommend right now, the Satoshi Nakamoto white paper. You can like that's free. You can, as long as someone has like internet access, they can be able to like get access to it and read it themselves. And then there is like a very interesting article on Bitcoin. Um, I think Benyu. The guy is called Benyu. Yeah. It's on Medium. It's called Cryptocurrency 101. I think this is the best resource. This is the best article that I've read about what Bitcoin is and the potential of Bitcoin and how Bitcoin actually correlates with gold and how like Bitcoin has the same characteristics as gold. What makes gold valuable, and what makes Bitcoin valuable. With that said, I also believe that people like Prince Al Walid, this guy from Saudi Arabia, or people like Jamie Dimon, don't see anything wrong with the current system. So why would they want to change it? They're rich, they have access to all the money that they want, and they can go and play around with people's money all they want, which is not the case with like very many people that are invested in crypto or people that are just starting out. Like you don't have access to money, and I mean like you're trying to like get money, build assets, and like try to improve the positions that you're at. And these guys already have the money. Why would they care? Like why would they care about the fact that you don't have money? And why would they even want Bitcoin anyway? See, what usually happens is that people don't see things coming until like things like actually hit them and there is no way back. A clear example of this is I think the company was called Blockbuster. Like, I'll stop there today. I guess I've been able to explain to you the reasons as to why these companies hate Bitcoin. They hate cryptocurrencies, and yeah. If you haven't yet, click the subscribe button down below. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family members and on your social networks and with everybody that you might think might want to get into the cryptocurrency space. Thank you very much for listening. Leave your comments and questions in the comment section down below, and I'll make sure that I get to all of them and I'll reply or make more videos about the questions that you ask. Thank you very much. See you again. Bye.